Okay, so you get to big yourselves up here a little bit. So, Prasanna, can you give me maybe a success story from IPI for something maybe the customer was facing some type of challenge and how you overcame it? So you have a couple of minutes to talk about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. So the first thing, the Ognos, the brings in a lot of features and a lot of legacy, right? And it's beyond data centers. We have been providing the software for advanced carrier grade routing features, right? SRMPLS and MPLS with EVPN, right? All with the same familiar and reliable network operating system, right? When it comes to the data center with the EVPN VXLAN, so the port plus VLAN is a one, which one has to look for, which will make, the end user with free of, worry about the VLAN. So any VLAN, you connect to any port and you can map it to any customer. So that's the simplicity it brings in. And when it comes to the Ognos, in terms of the licensing difficulties, right, Ognos addresses it very well with the simple perpetual licensing. You buy it one time and you're done. All right. And also, what IP Infusion offers is, the global support at a very reduced price, right? So, which actually helps a lot of customers to save on the, the OpEx. So the amount they spend, actually, it's very huge. So that's where it helps. And it has helped many customers in terms of achieving the technically, reaching the speeds. In terms of, if you take few examples, right, the Scott data, it's one of the largest multi-tenant data center in the USA. They have selected IPI over Sonic and Cisco. It's only because of we provide all the features and we provide one-stop solution and we provide the support. The main thing is the support and all the technical excellencies, and we have tested all their use cases, before providing. So there are similar such examples with Madeo, right? So they have the data centers, and we have been selected over Sonic, Arista, and Microtech solutions. So they had a preferred optics, which IP Infusion was able to support for them. So these are all the, the success stories are happening.
Yeah, so I actually saw about that. The Madeo stuff was the tip fuse, it's called, over in Lisbon this year. There was kind of a big presentation on it. So a good win from you guys. So Kai, can you provide some examples of cost savings if an organization is to adopt UFI hardware with IPI as a software? Kind of what cost savings are achieved by the organization that adopts?
Sure. We actually have some real case customer we are working with, both here and also in Europe, and these are pretty large carrier provider. So the cost saving actually came in two parts. By moving into the open disaggregator model, we can preserve the scalability, and I'll give out some number in a second. And to preserve that scalability because of the merchant silicon solution, so the CapEx saving has gone down quite a lot. But that's not the end of the story. And we talked a little bit about in a second ago, because using the open platform with the hardware and decoupling the software. So the bundle, the traditional bundle service contract concept has gone away. So the saving, not only on the CapEx, but also on the OpEx. And then CapEx, you pay for it. You do maybe a straight line depreciation for X number of years. But OpEx, you don't depreciate. You actually have to pay. It's like electricity in your house. You have to keep paying over and over and over a year. So that actually is a very significant cost saving model in terms of the ongoing. A lot of these companies, they do depreciation. I see anything starting from 4 or 5 years all the way up to 7 or even 10 years depreciation. So when your hardware might has gone down to zero book value, if you keep on running because they still meet your business requirement, you still have to pay for the maintenance, the service support, and all these other things. So this open disaggregator model has reduced both sides significantly. And one other thing I also want to point out and share, when we started this business, we built a lot of devices using a 16 nanometer type of merchant silicon. Then they has gone down to 7. And right now, as you and I are talking this morning, we are building the latest generation with a 5 nanometer. Now, to the end user, what does this smaller nanometer really mean to you? To summarize in plain English, it means two things in terms of the cost benefit. The two things are, number one, because the gap on the all these transistor design on the wafer becomes smaller and smaller, from 16 nano to 7 nano now to 5, meaning we can fit a lot more gates, all the different logic gates into the wafer. And what that means to you as an end user is you can expect a lot higher computing processing power on the same surface area chip design. And the second thing significant to the end user is the smaller the nanometer, the more the power saving on the device. Now, I want to be careful. The more power saving doesn't mean the switch itself has lowered the PSU, the power supply. What that means is per megabyte of processing in terms of the power consumed, or per 400 gig port in terms of the power consumed, it has gone down using a 5 nanometer design as compared to a 16 nanometer. So those are buried inside the hardware of what we are building. And all these things, all this cost benefit all goes back to the end user who's leveraging this technology, Barry.
That's actually really interesting. So that you could use that in your innovation or reducing power. So yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, guys, we're going to finish up, but I have a couple of questions because I always kind of finish up with something like this. So Kai, maybe one takeaway for our listeners to remember about open networking, and as well, I want to ask you, where do you see open networking in 7 years' time, let's say? Because I'm always interested to see what people in the industry, kind of what way you think it's going to go.
Yes. Before I answer the question 7 years, I actually saw open networking in the last few years has came a long way up until this point. That's why you see OCP. That's why you see TIP, all this open foundation. Every year when I present at OCP, I see more and more people attend. Even during the pandemic, people come online and all that. So it's certainly catching up with a lot of momentum. To answer your question, where I see this in 7 years, as the technology becoming more mature, and I want to emphasize technology in the sense of both the hardware, meaning the merchant silicon, not just on that piece, but also other peripheral, such as the thermal design and more intelligent, temperature control and all these things. People looking at like liquid cooling and all these other things. It actually drove a lot of momentum, and partnering with company like you guys, and we continue to see a lot of these software feature become a lot more integrated into an open source platform. So in 7 years or even 5 years or even 3 years, Barry, I see the momentum will continue to catch up. And I think it's a very exciting time to be in this. And last but not the least, I think customers see the benefit. And I do want to emphasize one point I said earlier. I observe financial decision drove technical decision. So the last thing I want to leave with the audience, if this thing make technical sense from both OpEx and CapEx, eventually all these things will catch up, from a deployment perspective, Barry.
Okay, thanks. No, you painted a nice rosy picture, so that's quite good. And Prasanna, it's basically the same same question for yourself. So, where do you see open networking in 7 years, and kind of IPI? Can you kind of what is allowing guys to shift from traditional networking and move to IPI?
Yeah, so it's an interesting aspect actually. So when it comes to the, where do we look at 7 years, right? So the more sophistication is going to come in the software, right? And also the hardware is going to increase their speeds and abilities. And the AI is going to play a bigger role in terms of, what is happening and how do we recover the network, right? So all these things are works together, to provide a very good manageable solution to the end customer, and it will keep evolving, right? It doesn't stop at one point. But at a place of 7 years, we can see that, these networks are trying to auto recover by themselves and also allowing for greater workloads to go through them. So this is where I would see that, a lot of transition is happening in terms of the data and as well as the intelligence.
Okay, guys. That's really appreciate you joining us today, and for your insights. I think that was a really good kind of half hour.